his own. What is his own in man, that is, his essence, is usually only manifested in his instincts and his simplest emotions. There are cases, however, when a man's essence grows in parallel with his personality. Such cases represent very rare exceptions, especially in the circumstances of cultured life. Essence has more chances of development in men who live nearer to nature, in difficult conditions of constant struggle and dangers. I would say the Native American in this country, in our country, America, probably had more essence than personality because they lived close to nature. Have you noticed that the Indians were able to just embrace the horses, and they're able to ride these horses without restraint. They were able to they identify with the earth. They had such a simple way of living. I don't have I'm not an authority of the history of the Native American culture, but I just had a thought, but maybe this is what Gurdjieff meant by the essence of individuals who live closer to the earth are more real. However, and let's go on. But as a rule, the personality of such people is very little developed. They have more of what is their own, but very little of what is not their own. That is to say, they lack education and instruction. They lack culture. Culture creates personality. We do not realize that the whole of our life, all we call civilization, all we call science, philosophy, art, and politics is created by people's personality. That is, by what is not their own in them. Let me read that again. This is profound reality that Gurdjieff brought out. They have more of what is not their own, but very little of what is not their own. That is to say, they lack education and instruction. They lack culture. Culture creates personality and is at the same time the product and the result of personality. We do not realize that the whole of our life, all we call civilization, all we call science, philosophy, art, politics, is created by people's personality, and that is by what is not their own in them. So here we are, we have our existence, and I'll give you an example of myself. As a child, I remember we had, in our home, we lived in a 4-parcel lot in Torrance, California. In a family of 11 siblings, and so there was a family of 12, including, 13, including parents. And we lived on a 4-acre parcel of land. My father had this great ambition of being a grower of lilies, and in time he was successful at it. But I was number 8 in the child, and I remember one time that we would have catechism in our home. The church, we're Catholic. We're brought up Catholic, in the Catholic religion, and we're all baptized in the Catholic Church. So the sisters used to come to our home, and we would hold catechism. And I'll always remember this experience. As a young boy, I had this remarkable experience. It must have been a dream, but it was so vivid. And I had a dream that I saw this tremendous light, and I was because of our large family, we slept everywhere. I was sleeping in the living room on this couch, and we had, and this was like a 3-bedroom home. And so here we are. Here I was, and this must, I don't know what time it was, but it was late. Everybody was asleep. And there was this tremendous light that was just beaming through the window. And I saw, and it covered the house. And also I saw, and I got up and walked out the door, through the door, the front door. And this light was just beaming over this porch, and I stood out, and I embraced this light, and I looked up, and there was this magnificent star, and I was thinking about, my God, thinking now, it's amazing it didn't blind me, but the fact I was say in this tremendous light, and I couldn't share with my family because I'm sure they felt that this was, of course, a dream. This was stupid to think like that or to be like that. So I kind of kept it to myself. But the sister, I thought I would share it with the sister, and I shared it with her because they came the following few days later. I think it was a Sunday they came over. No, it must have been a Saturday because Sunday is church. But I asked this sister, I had this experience. What does this mean? And she looked at me, with kind of contempt. I didn't know the word contempt, but it would look like it was a look of disapproval, and a look that it's nonsense, and she ignored me. And I would say that this is an example of how we learn to hide ourselves, our real selves, from people. I remember the development of my personality, and I always wanted to be like my brother. He was about 5 years older than I. His name is Bill, and in high school he seemed to have such everybody loved him. The girls adored him. The guy, the men, the boy, his fellow peers just loved him also. He was quite a character. He seemed to always smile. He always had friends, and he loved to dance, and he was a great dresser. He also had a car, and he had a job, and he was only about 16, 17 years old. He seemed to have it all. And I remember I wanted to be just like him. And we looked very much alike. People looked at us and said, my God, we look like twins. But the point is, at that time, I felt so awkward. I didn't have the personality. I didn't have the friends he'd had. I was, again, 5 years old, and I was so unsure of myself. I felt I lacked confidence. I felt inferior. I felt so inadequate. And so my personality was developed in a different way. I was told at a young age that I wasn't very smart. I didn't do very well in school. And so actually I dropped out of school eventually at 10th grade. And so I've always wanted a personality like my brother, but I wasn't my brother, so I wasn't like him. But however, my personality was that I wanted to be someone important. And I remember a salesman came to us when I was working with my father out in the fields, tending the lilies or digging up the lily bulbs. But we're out in the fields, and this salesman comes out to us, dressed nice, in a nice suit, in nice shoes, and I was in the ground with the dirt. And he came over and he sold us life insurance. He didn't need very much money to buy life insurance at that time. I think like $2 a month or something like that. But I was impressed. What impressed me was the idea that he had these beautiful shoes, and he was dressed so nice. And here I was, a farmer. I remember in grade school, the lowest level of human being was a farmer. This is what they were described. And I felt I was a farmer, which I really wasn't. We had a few animals, but we didn't farm. My father was a lily grower. But because of my father's attitude towards us and towards me, not personally, but all of us, he felt that we were really workers. He didn't see it as children to be nurtured and loved. He saw us be workers, be boys to help out.